Story 1. I am 75 and retired. Last August, I attended a hiring fair for school crossing guards and got hired. I love it. I was assigned to the busiest school and was named Crossing Guard of the Year this week. I can honestly say that this achievement means as much to me as my career in senior management with banks and credit unions. Tip: don't let your age stop you from pursuing anything. Story 2. Someone was kind to me today. She gave my dogs pets and treats. She doesn't know that this is the first conversation I've had, aside from cashiers and receptionists, in years or how much it meant to me. Story 3. A much younger coworker of mine said that I reminded her of her mother. I asked her if that was a good thing, and she said it was the best thing. Totally made my entire week. She's a tough type who has had to fight for everything she has. She can appear rough on the outside but is truly a delight as a person if you let her show you who she is. Being seen as someone who resembles the woman who raised her is probably one of the highest compliments. Story 4. I went out to dinner by myself on Sunday. While there, I walked with a small child who wandered by my table until we found her mother coming out of the bathroom. Since I did not see any adults paying attention to her, I stayed with her until we found a parent. During the same dinner, my waiter noticed a book I was reading and expressed interest. We talked briefly, and at one point, I said, "Blessings. I don't know that I have any special spiritual power, but I want to add my good intention to what you are doing." The waiter hugged me. That dinner made me feel so good. I felt as though a greater power had led me to that restaurant that day. Story 5. I received 2 checks from class action lawsuits after filling out an online form. I often forget that I submitted them because it takes months to receive my portion. It was close to $200. Not a huge amount, but still a nice surprise. Story 6. A plumber came to fix my shower, and I asked him a question about my toilet. He returned the next day and replaced the part at no charge. I gave him cookies and fruit snacks as a thank you. Story 7. The blackbirds in my area have started singing to me and they hold conversations with me. They chirp and wait for me to whistle back at them. We go on like that for a while. Story 8. I left my previous job on December 31st, 2024. Recently, I woke up to a deposit in my bank account. Months after my departure, they paid me the bonus I earned in 2024, even though they were not obligated to do so. Story 9. I got a new job doing what I have wanted to do since I was a child, and a week later, I was readmitted into my Dream Masters program. It feels good after about 6 months of facing significant challenges. Story 10. I received a bonus of £5,000, followed by a wage increase of £4,500 and back pay for being underpaid over the past year or two. I used to struggle financially, living from paycheck to paycheck while being in the negative. Those were challenging times. Story 11. I was able to fix a very annoying issue in Google Sheets in about 20 minutes with Google. It was easy for me, but it was a big deal for the entire leadership team, and I received many thanks, which made my day. Story 12. My ex couldn't buy a vehicle without having the full amount, but I could make payments because I had a good relationship with the owner and she didn't. As a result, she kicked me out of the house I was paying the mortgage on, saying I was a source of stress. Unexpectedly, 2 weeks later, I find myself in my new place, wishing I had ended things with her sooner. Story 13. I helped teach one of my kindergarten students who is autistic and very anxious to say hello to others. Now it is basically all he does, greeting everyone with a big smile on his face. Story 14. The first pleasant surprise was that it was supposed to rain today, but it turned out to be beautiful. Secondly, while I was walking my dog, someone driving by yelled out their window, "Your dog is beautiful. She is old and walks a bit slowly and unsteadily since her stroke last year, but she is doing well otherwise." I felt so flattered on her behalf. Story 15. One of my cousins visited from abroad to surprise her dad. So the local cousins decided to get together in the middle of the week before she had to leave. We ended up having an impromptu reunion with about 20 people. I loved how we made it a point to step away from our busy lives to see each other and catch up, even on a Wednesday night. It was a great time. Story 16. I bought some probiotics from Costco during my monthly supply run and started experiencing better digestion within a few days. I should have done that years ago. Story 17. I came to the realization that my crush may not reciprocate my feelings, but I'm happy my heart has been opened again. I had been closed off for a long time. Story 18. My boss offered to pay for me to fly to another city and spend a week there for valuable training. It will cost her thousands of dollars. It's pretty cool. Story 19. I told a woman at Wawa that I liked her dress after being hesitant to say it. When I finally spoke up, she had the biggest grin and said I made her day. She told me she made it herself and it felt like a truly connected moment. Sometimes you hesitate to say anything because you fear how people will respond, but this was a pleasant encounter. Story 20. I am a high school teacher, and it can be incredibly draining. Yesterday, I received an email from a student thanking me for being an amazing teacher and for taking the time to discuss her career plans after school. Today, a student told me that I wouldn't even give a free day at my funeral and that I am his opponent. So there's that. Story 21. My son is playing football for a new team this year, and his coach told me today, "You're raising a wonderful son." It was a proud moment for me as a mother. Story 22. I bought my regular skincare supplies and won a free purse because my purchase was over $50. It's a nice purse too. Story 23. The other day, after a very rough morning, my afternoon meetings were canceled and I had no commitments. I called my best friend of 45 years, and we spontaneously took a ride to a tulip farm that we had both wanted to visit. It was beautiful, a sea of colors. Story 24. I bought a used riding lawnmower on Craigslist, and when it broke down the first time I used it, I texted the person who sold it to me, and they actually came over and fixed it for free. Story 25. Instead of offloading a work order from an unproductive coworker to me or a friend on the team, the dispatcher addressed the issue and made him complete the work order. I appreciate that. Story 26. I just received a $5.36 raise. I was expecting between $1 and $2, based on my performance and prior knowledge of how the company operates. Story 27. I played bingo today and won the final round, receiving a gift bag containing toilet paper, laundry detergent, a bag of popcorn, an air freshener plug-in, and a pack of extra-large wet wipes. I was very grateful because I needed laundry detergent, and you can never have enough toilet paper. Story 28. I had foot surgery yesterday and tried to weigh myself today, as I need to monitor my weight closely because I tend to eat a lot. The scale indicated that I lost 13 pounds in one day, which puts me 4 pounds under my goal weight and is the least I have weighed since junior high school. Of course, that can't be accurate. On the other hand, I can't really get into the kitchen, so I hope I don't gain 30 pounds in 3 weeks. Story 29. I bought 1 month of tick medication for my puppy, and the lady included 3 months' worth. I'm not sure if it was intentional or an honest mistake, but I'll take it. Story 30. I lost 10 pounds in 6 to 7 months without really trying and easily found a wedding dress off the rack for my wedding this month. It was a major unexpected plus. Story 31. I don't normally like talking to people and try to get away as quickly and politely as possible. However, I got caught up by an 88-year-old man in the parking lot. He started by complimenting the flowers on my Jeep. At one point, we spoke about our differing opinions on Donald Trump, but he listened to my side and changed his perspective by the end of our conversation. I found out he worked with some of my boyfriend's family members, which is a large and notable family in this town. In the end, we probably spoke for 30 minutes, and he almost cried when I told him he was easy to talk to. He mentioned that he had never met a person he didn't love in some way. It was very sweet and felt nice, especially since I normally wouldn't talk with anyone. Story 32. I gave a technical presentation, and a principal engineer suggested that it should be required viewing for everyone annually. Story 33. I thought I was going to fail my final for my forensic science test, but I earned 10 points of extra credit because I was the only student to successfully complete the section on fire investigation. I feel much better about my final now. Story 34. My boyfriend texted me at work and asked if I wanted to go on an adventure after work. I assumed he was being silly and it was something like going to get Taco Bell. He took me to Micro Center. Apparently, he had bought a new graphics card for me that had been sold out for a while. I was with my ex for 17 years. We both played video games, but I would never get new parts for my computer. He would upgrade his computer and I would get his leftovers. I wasn't bitter about it at the time. I was grateful. But that meant my computer was always out of date. My boyfriend has been upgrading my computer over the past few years. He made it a point of pride when he replaced the last remaining part from my ex. He wasn't being jealous or controlling. He just genuinely wants me to have a nice computer. And he hasn't bought me all the parts. He's offered to buy items, but I usually insist on paying for them since I feel wrong having him pay for my things. However, he has done all the research, purchased, and installed my parts, and he always troubleshoots my problems. When I found out we were getting a graphics card, I asked if he bought one too. He said there was only one and he wanted me to have it. I defaulted to what I was used to and told him it was okay if he wanted it and could give me his old one. He said no, it was a bigger upgrade for me and he wanted me to have it. I know many of you won't understand why I'm sentimental about this, but I am. Having a partner who puts me before his own wants was astounding. I simply couldn't wrap my mind around him giving me something nice just because he wants me to have a nice computer as much as he wants to have a nice computer himself. He was so proud when I got home today, telling me he installed it and checked the game I'm playing, and I can now run it at ultra settings. I could hear in his voice that it made him happy that I was happy. Story 35. A large, strong powerlifter at the gym said that my arm pump was impressive and that I should keep it up. It made my day, to be honest. Story 36. My story was heard by someone at work who listened to me tell it. She wants me to share it with her team. I am not just an employee, I am also a patient. Story 37. The parade of homes starts a week later than I originally thought. I now have an extra week to finish this house. Despite the delays, I will still complete it on time. Story 38. I had a birthday. A friend passed away on that day. My cat got sick, but she is okay now. My roommate informed me that he couldn't pay all of the rent. I went dumpster diving for food. Things are great. Story 39. My manager said my next schedule will be the one I was promised a little over a week ago. If it happens this time, I will finally be able to get some sleep and hang out with my friend again. I also will not be working 6-day weeks anymore, which will be great. Story 40. The most unexpected event was that my dog experienced bloat and nearly died. Honestly, I cannot think of anything pleasant because so many unfortunate things keep happening. Story 41. I was excited to find out that a local grocery store had eggs for $4.59 a dozen, a full dollar cheaper than Safeway or Fred Meyer, and not free range. Those are about $3 more per dozen. Anyway, I got there and walked around because I had never been there before. It was pretty cool. They had clearance items that were close to the expiration date set off to the side, but still in the same general area. I found my eggs and saw a sign on the door that some of the eggs were as cheap as $3.59 a dozen. I assumed it was the ones close to the expiration date, but didn't see any set off to the side. So I grabbed 2 dozen and checked out. It wasn't until the next day that I realized the eggs I got were the $3.59 ones. I almost went back then, but remembered that most grocery stores have their sales from Wednesday to Tuesday, and it was now Wednesday. At least I got eggs at what was the premium price during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it was still very nice compared to current egg prices. Last time I bought eggs at Safeway, I essentially paid the same price for 1 dozen eggs. Story 42. My college students have been really kind and patient with my department this week, which is finals week, our busiest time. That hasn't always been the case over the past 8 years. It makes the long days with no breaks kind of worth it. Story 43. The Internal Revenue Service found errors in our tax returns for the last 3 years, and as a result, I am receiving a significantly larger return this year. Story 44. I have been struggling with money recently, being late on rent and feeling dissatisfied with my job that doesn't provide enough hours. I clean houses on the side, and unexpectedly, my landlord offered me a job cleaning the house next door to prepare it for a new tenant in exchange for reducing my rent. I have managed to cover this month's rent and even part of next month's as well. Story 45. I thought my cat would be lethargic and apathetic for the entire duration of the medication he has to take, but his personality and energy have started to come back. He is cuddling and talking to me again. Feels so good. Story 46. I was at an IKEA when a woman asked me if I worked there. After I replied that I didn't, she commented that I had a stride like someone who worked there. I have an IKEA stride, which is nice to know. Story 47. One of the dogs found some fox feces and actually listened when I pleaded with them not to roll in it or eat it. Just the little things, you know? Story 48. Unpleasant experiences have turned pleasant, thankfully. I had my first dog of my own, separate from family pets, pass away quickly from a rare cancer. With humane euthanasia, she gave me notice that she wasn't okay. Exactly 2 weeks later, my dog niece, with whom I was very close and spent nearly every day during her first 3 to 4 years, also passed quickly due to euthanasia, this time for bone cancer after a broken leg. 2 weeks after that, my other dog lost the ability to walk and stand without falling over and was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Thankfully, he exceeded the life expectancy estimated for him and is absolutely thriving now. He has been off all medication for a couple of days and is doing so well with no symptoms. Story 49. 4 friends called yesterday, and I had a lovely conversation with each of them. I felt so loved and cared for. I am still smiling today. Story 50. The question is about a pleasant thing and I, stressed out, read unpleasant. I'm sorry, but can I keep my comment? I do not speak English and it is not easy for me to write long texts. Maybe someone can help me. Sorry again. My first cat, a sweet but feisty lady, vanished for a few days. I live on a ranch, and my cats often spend days without showing up at my house. I always get very worried, but I learned to just wait. Today she showed up at my door. She didn't come inside, and I only caught a glimpse of her when I got close. I knew immediately that something was wrong. She cried quite a bit when she saw me. When she came in to eat, I noticed something strange. Well, her back legs are in very bad shape. Even the structure of her bones looks unusual. She can barely walk. She can't even jump onto my bed. She has no pain and is still the same sweet yet feisty cat she has always been. But her back looks so strange. It's as if she got hit very hard by a car, yet there are no wounds or signs of pain. She slept with me today, but when I woke up, she wasn't in my bed anymore. She had kittens a few months ago, and she took them from the basket in my house and hid them nearby. So maybe she just went to stay with them. Does anyone know what this might be? One day everything is okay, and 3 days later her back legs barely work. No pain, no wounds, no discomfort. What is happening to her? It is impossible for me to get her any help. We are on our own. At least I wish to know what this is. Story 51. A baby bunny ran across my path this morning while I was waiting at a crosswalk, then stopped to sniff my shoe. Story 52. Someone expressed that they think highly of me and appreciate me. It may seem small, but it helps when you feel like the world is closing in on you. Story 53. I recently found peace of mind and truly understood the value of my time. That clarity helped me step back and reassess what truly matters in my life. It gave me direction, helping me better define my goals, needs, and what I genuinely want moving forward. It is amazing how grounding those two things can be. Story 54. I have been going through a really stressful time at work for the last couple of months and submitted a time-off request for a week, starting this coming Monday. The reason I provided for the request was recovering from burnout. My supervisor scheduled a meeting with me last week to discuss my burnout concerns. We sat down, and she asked me to explain what was going on. She already knew some of the sources of my stress. I am one of 3 team leads, and one of my fellow leads got injured on the job last year, requiring surgery. This lead has been under strict medical restrictions for the last 6 months. The other lead went on medical leave about a month and a half ago and probably won't return until the end of May. So I am feeling somewhat overwhelmed. I detailed how I have spent so long feeling like I am playing catch-up, trying to juggle a load far too big for one person, while also getting additional responsibilities thrown at me each week. depending on whether team members call out or take paid time off. I described experiencing tension headaches, having stress dreams, and feeling exhausted. I can tell I am stuck in a negative feedback loop of stress and overwhelm, which impacts my performance. This, in turn, leads to getting even less of my assigned work done each week, making me feel even more stressed and overwhelmed. She listened attentively, and when I finished expressing my concerns, the first words out of her mouth were, "Why don't you take next week off instead of the week after?" She even offered to let me take both weeks off, repeatedly emphasizing, "You have to take care of yourself first." I have been in the workforce for 20 years, and this is the first time someone in a managerial position has told me that. I have been on paid time off this week, and I already feel so much better. Story 55. In March, I won $200 from 2 scratch-off tickets purchased with the $25 I won from another ticket. I decided to deposit the money in the bank instead of buying more scratch-off tickets. The man behind me in line was redeeming an inch-thick stack of scratch-offs, which he won $60 from. I also saw a bird. Story 56. I have achieved a level of peace from the voices, and even if they sometimes refuse to let me take control, it feels good to know they are not directly against me. Story 57. An old friend reached out to ask how I was. Felt amazing that they cared. Then my mind started filling in the blanks. Story 58. I found a handwritten note tucked into a used book I bought online. It was a touching message from a mother to her daughter about finding joy in small moments. Dated 1998. Story 59. I do not have personal experiences, but reconnecting with an old friend or discovering a new hobby can be a pleasant surprise. Story 60. 2 hedgehogs, one big and one smaller, have started visiting my garden. I bought some hedgehog food for them and put a bowl of water out, and they come every night now. Story 61. In the last week, while having casual conversations with 3 strangers at the UPS store, the grocery store, and the gym, 3 different people guessed that I was 17 years younger than I actually am. That was pretty sweet. Story 62. I matched with a very attractive guy on Tinder, and we talked but didn't connect, so we stopped communicating. I went out of town with my girlfriends last weekend and was swiping when I came across his twin, who lives about 3 hours away. We matched, and we are getting along very well. He frequently visits my town to see his brother, so we will be hanging out soon. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.